And there she is, smoke pouring out of the back of the house, right? It smells like and she says to my mother and points, look at that. Look at the house is on fire.
Welcome to Achieving Failure, a podcast that gives you a break from politics, popular trends, and just brings you good old life stories and adventures. I'm your host, Chris, and join us each week as my friends and I reminisce over stories who made us who we are. And now on to the show.
So, when a mom wants her daughter to have a boyfriend, and we're talking kids now, we're not talking about teenagers, I wanted, her little girl was Denise and my name was Dennis, and she wanted a boyfriend for little Denise. And she invited me over to this strange birthday party. I told my mom, I said, I'm not going there. I don't want to. She said, you should go.
How old? I'm sorry, you were talking like how old are you? Yeah, you're not.
I don't know. I'm 8, 7, 6. I don't know. We're not very old.
You're still kids. You're still kids,
little kids. And she comes over and a bunch of kids are there doing stuff. And all of a sudden I feel like I get this pain in my butt. And the mom is behind me. And okay, all right, maybe I'll move over here. I don't know. I didn't put the two together, right? After about 3 or 4 times, I got the message. She's pushing this pin up my butt, and I'm looking. And she's laughing while she's doing it, and I for the life of me, even to this day, I'm not sure what affliction causes such a response. But if that's how you get people to like your daughter, boy, I don't know. I just that was something. It was really a pip. For sure. So this could dovetail with the previous AV stuff. So as AV nerds, you're down there to serve a purpose and to take care of equipment for faculty. One of them was this ancient technology called Ditto, where you would make copies of things like tests. Of course, everybody knows what a Xerox or a copy machine is, but many, many years ago, they didn't have that technology. They used something called Dittos, which was a sheet of paper, and on it you wrote let's say you were doing a test, and you wanted to make 30 copies of that test. So you'd sit down and you'd handwrite the test on this Ditto master, and then you'd bring the Ditto master down to the AV department, and one of the AV nerds would help make copies for you. Or you could do it yourself, but the point is that we provided that service. Well, there's another service we provided. When you were done with the Ditto Master, you walked away with your 30 copies, let's say, but the Ditto Master was used up and you threw it in the garbage can. The teacher would throw it away. Well, might be able to get 1 or 2 more copies out of that Ditto Master. And since it was an upcoming test, it had value. And that was something we kind of put together in a little compendium called, Mrs. Burke's upcoming math test. Like, are you taking that this afternoon? Okay, get your ass down here. We have 2 copies. All right. And so we provided service above and beyond just the average one. And you give kids an inch and they take a mile, like with the little privileges of having a small office and then doing all these other unscrupulous things. One day Bobby comes in and he says, we got a refrigerator. I said, what do you mean we got a refrigerator? Yeah, we got a refrigerator. I said, what's it being used for? Well, they put the film in it. You want to keep the film preserved. We've got about 50 rolls of film there, and they're taking pictures and football pictures and things, but there's still room for some other stuff. I said, well, yeah. He said, we got to have some breakfast. Put some orange juice in there and breakfast things, and when we come in, we're always the first ones in. We have some breakfast stuff in there. And I said, oh, that sounds like a good idea. So I'll bring the orange juice. And he says, but I need a couple of things. Maybe you could go to the store and get some vanilla extract. I said, what do you need vanilla extract for? Talk about being naive and stupid. He says, yeah, it's good. It adds a little flavor. He says, an old recipe. I said, well, okay, what do you need, like 1 bottle? He said, no, I need about like 10. I said, 10 bottles? I said, oh, okay. All right, I got 10 bottles. They were cheap. I go there to the supermarket, and the lady goes, why are you buying 10 bottles of extract? I said, my mom needs it for a cooking thing. And if anybody who doesn't know, almond extract is 99% alcohol, okay? And like 1%, flavor. So Bobby comes in and he says, yeah, oh, good, let's load it. So he puts every one of them in one bottle. And he said, now this is going to taste really good. And I said, oh, you know what? This does taste really good. And long about 8:30 and classes are starting, we're already soused. We're gone. We're like flying high already. And everything starts up. We're giggling. We're going down. We're having a grand old time. He never even told me at that point. And I said, finally, my mother says, you did what? I said, yeah, Bobby said, get the bunch. She said, you're doing something wrong here. This is not the right thing. So I refused to get it for him anymore. I said, I'm not getting you this alcohol stuff. I'm on to you. He says, that's no problem. I found a way. He started bringing in vodka from home. And and we'd have our vodka and orange juice in the morning. And, one of the perks of being there in the audiovisual department, right? You want a mimeograph? You want a vodka tonic? What do you want? What would you like?
Well, that was one of the first times I actually drank, besides like trying your Zima and everything, was my friend. Funny enough, I was at my friend's house, and he's like, oh, I got my father's handle of whiskey, and I don't even know the hell kind of whiskey it was. But we're like, well, what are you putting in it? He goes, oh, I got orange juice.
Whiskey and orange juice? Ugh.
Yeah. Well, I didn't know any better. I kind of just thought that's what you do. We're like, well, how much do you mix? Oh, just mix whiskey and orange juice.
I hope you threw up.
I pretty much did. It was actually pretty fucking disgusting. Yeah. And it wasn't even good whiskey too. I mean, but when you were a kid, it's just whiskey tastes like whiskey. It's trash. And that was one of the first things. And I said, people drink this? This is disgusting. And we just had to just pound it. And it was just like, this is terrible. Like, this is god awful. And I remember afterwards, I had to ride my bike home. I don't know, it was a couple blocks away, but just riding your bicycle home, you're like, holy shit. Like, it's just like...
DUI on a bike. Wow.
Yeah. I'm 16, 17, already just completely... I remember I had to come home one day, and I remember specifically, I came home, and you're like, you okay? I got a stomach ache. I'm going to go. And I just took like a 5...
Yeah,
I took like a 5-hour nap, and I woke up, it's 11 o'clock at night, and I'm like, oh, gee, what the hell just happened?
Not good. But there are temptations, and sometimes that's when you find out what kind of person you are, with access to every room in the building. We really had free reign of our high school, which is really too much for young people. I mean, it's way too much. But we're curious. We're technical. We want to know things. We knew the sub-basements, and we knew more about that place than most people. And one thing we did know is we knew the combination to a big safe in the building. And the big safe housed documents that were very sensitive, and they housed all of the final exams. And I said, I want to find out the combination to that safe. It was a challenge. I had to find out. So it took us quite some time, but periodically somebody would go to that safe and they would open it and put stuff in or take stuff out. And we had observers there that would watch. And it took us a long time to get a series of numbers and combinations. And we kept trying until we got it. And there was that one fateful time where after hours, virtually nobody's there. And we crack into that safe and we open the door, and right there in front of us, it's probably June 12th. And right there are all the exams, and we could just go take whatever we want. And I look at these guys, and we're all, salivating to get the test for physics because we know that's a tough one. And I said, you know what? We're not going to do this. This isn't going to happen. I said, no, we're closing this door. This is the wrong thing to do. He said, are you kidding? We got all the stuff right here. You're not going to miss a copy. I said, you know what? We'll take a picture of it. I said, we don't have anything to take a picture of. Just stop it. We don't have a phone or anything. There was in those days, you had to have a camera or something. I said, no, we're not doing it. We're closing the door, and you're going to fail or sink or swim on your own. That's it. So, that was a big temptation. There was a lot of people against me, but I said, we can't do that. And I said, at least not while I'm here. I said, if you know the combination now, I'm walking away. I'm not doing this. So sometimes you have to have principles. Maybe that was stupid, huh? I did okay in physics anyway.
Remember last time going to Disney World?
I had a lot of fun in 98. That was ages ago. You two complained all the time. You and your sister complained all the time about, this is horrible. I hate Disney World. I said, this costs like $11,000 and you're complaining about it, right? Like a hot dog is $42.50, and you're complaining? I always liked Disney World. I always thought it was a great place, Not sure if the company is a great company anymore, but the place is great. And we learned that we would never want to live in Isle of Palms where the humidity is 200%. It's impossible, but it is. And giant frogs cling to your glass panes on your doors and windows. A strange place. Wow.
Well, didn't you have a really good friend that even that mother was really weird? He was super skinny.
I think Larry's mom, I'm pretty sure at this point, looking back, was
like a hypochondriac.
Perpetually on drugs.
Was it like not a hypochondriac? It is Munchausen.
Munchausen. I don't know who that is.
The Munchausen, the one where you're like, my kid's always sick. But I mean, I don't think he was that he fit that scenario.
No,
or she was just an absolute fucking lunatic.
She was sedated most of the time. Nothing seemed to really rile her up, which is unusual. And proof of that was one day, Larry comes over. He said, my mom said, could you come over? And I said, why? Something's wrong. I said, okay. And I said to my mom, I said, you better come because I don't know what this is all about. And I'm 5 years old. What do I know? Right?
No, was he down the street? Or
he's across the street.
Oh, okay.
So my mother goes across the street and there she is. Smoke pouring out of the back of the house. Right? It smells like and she says to my mother and points, look at that. Look at the house is on fire. And no emotion, none whatsoever. Right? The house is on fire. And my mother said, did you call the fire department? She said, no, I don't know. Could you do that? Could you give a call? He said, just the strangest. That was another strange family. Nothing there was. Every time Larry came over to be with, to play with me, it was across the street. I'd have to check his pants and his hand. I'd have to pat him down. He would always steal something. I remember going to his house once and I found like half of my toys were in his house. I said, Larry, how did you get that? I just borrowed them. I said, oh my God. So, just funny little things. Maybe those are normal. Maybe everybody has friends like that. I'm not sure.
I don't think anybody has friends like, or at least a klepto.
Yes.
No.
I do know we had a neighbor that asked my mom if she could borrow her vacuum. So my mom, being a good neighbor, says, sure, you can borrow my vacuum. And a week goes by. And then my mom says, could I get my vacuum back? I need it. She said, well, I used it I traded it in on a new vacuum for me. And she said, well, what do you mean you traded it in? I gave it to the Electrolux guy. And he gave me a good deal. She said, but that was my vacuum. Why did you... okay, I don't know.
Hey, it's Chris again. We hope you enjoyed this week's episode. Come back each week as we dive headfirst into more misadventures. Find us on social media, and if you have a story you'd love to share, shoot us an email at aflvpodcast@gmail.com. That's AF, Achieving Failure, LV, Las Vegas, podcast@gmail.com. Thank you so much, and we'll see you all next week.